This is the plaintiff, Donna Smith. She says she hired the defendant, a supposed electrician, to install 2 air conditioning units in a rental apartment she owns. 2 days after he did the work, one of the units started blowing hot air and leaking water, and it took him 2 weeks to send someone out to fix it. A week after that, the same thing happened to the bedroom unit. And now this bad businessman is ignoring her. She's suing for $1,695. The money she's now out. This is the defendant, Pedro Amador Jr. He says he tended to the plaintiff's needs every time she had a problem. Her units are installed properly, and he certainly doesn't owe her a refund for the work he did. Bottom line, both units were successfully serviced, and he feels the judge will agree with him today, and he'll leave here the winner after today's proceedings. He's accused of not being cool.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she hired the defendant to install 2 air conditioners, and both of them only blow hot air. The defendant says that he installed the units correctly, made the necessary repairs, and he owes nothing. It's the case of "you're so uncool."
Okay, Ms. Smith, you hired Mr. Amador to install some mini-split air conditioners, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and let's see what we're talking about here. I actually have one of these, so I know what this is. It's a tiny little air conditioner that actually goes, let's get a better picture, that actually goes in the wall, and they work pretty well when they're working correctly, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in this case, what ended up happening? He installed the mini split AC in 2 different rooms, and you paid him how much?
I paid him a total of $1,800.
Okay. And then what happened?
Well, he installed them, and then the day after, the one was running warm. So I called him to fix it, and I had to wait a while for his guy to come out. He kept telling me different days that he'd come out, and he sent somebody out.
How long did it take him to go there and service it? What day did he send somebody to service it?
I think it was April 28th. I sent him pictures of the
okay.
The leak.
And does he fix, which one was the one that was having a problem? Both or one?
It ended up being both. The front one.
Okay, but when you called him, what did you call him for? Which one?
The front one.
So then does he go there and what's happening? It's blowing hot or it's leaking? Which is it?
It's both.
Okay, so he fixes it when?
It wasn't even water, it was Freon.
Okay, Mr. Amador, what is it you end up doing, and what day do you do it to repair it?
When she called me, that was a week later, I scheduled a technician to go out to check the units, because I installed a lot of these units before. I do the installations, and I have my technician go out to do any service work when I have any calls back. I only had twice. This is the second call back I had, and what it was same as the first one. It was leaking, it was short on Freon. So he came back, he serviced it, he vacuumed the whole system out, because we had to vacuum the whole system to be working properly. Then he installed the proper Freon on both units. I told him to check both units, just in case the other unit was going to have a problem too.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Why is it that these are brand new air conditioners, why were they low on Freon?
Sometimes in the factories, when they do the UL listing, they install Freon just to check, make sure it works. But sometimes it doesn't have the right amount of Freon, because there's two ways you can hook them up. You can hook them up under 120 or 220, and it takes different Freon level.
Okay, so after Mr. Amador fixes that, you have an additional problem, and what is that additional problem, Ms. Smith?
The other one in the back started leaking, and then I started texting him once a day, and he totally ignored me. I mean, I have all the texts that it was leaking. I was calling him.
Mr. Amador, why were you ignoring her?
I wasn't ignoring her. I didn't have a chance to send the tech, because her house is an hour and a half away from where.
Does it take you an hour and a half to respond to a text? Because her house is an hour and a half away? Right.
No.
It takes a nanosecond, right? So why were you ignoring her?
I just didn't know, Your Honor, what was the deal because there was other subcontractors working there. So I don't know if they were working
Yeah, but you
with
didn't even talk to her. You didn't even call her back. She's telling you that there's a problem leaking with the AC. Why wouldn't you tell her, okay, let's FaceTime. Let me see what you're talking about. But you just completely ghost. Are you surprised you ended up getting sued?
No.
Right. So, Ms. Smith, what ends up happening? How long do you wait for him to respond to you before you go and hire somebody else?
I believe it was like a week to 2 weeks. I called and got an estimate for $95. I paid that. I figured, okay, let me just see what's wrong with this. And then Air Pro came and they gave me an estimate to fix it. They said it was installed properly on that receipt. It was tilting, and
They said it was
just
installed properly or improperly?
improperly.
Okay. Right. That's what I
Improperly.
see they say.
Yeah, and I sent those bills to Pedro and showed him because I didn't want to pay $1,000 and be out another $1,000. So I waited, and he still ignored
He
me.
just ignores you completely.
Totally.
Why would you, Mr. Amador, why on earth, if you've got her checking with a different professional who's saying you installed it improperly, how on earth do you not address her and say something and send somebody? How do you just ignore her and think she's going to go away?
Welcome back to the People's Court. The plaintiff says that the defendant doesn't know what he's doing, and he installed 2 air conditioners that don't work, and in fact, they leak. But the defendant claims he fixed all of them already and doesn't understand why he's being sued because everything is in good working order. Let's go back into the courtroom.
I didn't ignore her. When she told me that she'd hire somebody else after I gave her...
I'm sorry, no. First, she sent you a text telling you that somebody else looked at it. Did you answer that text?
Yes, I did.
What'd you say to her?
I said okay.
Okay, what?
I had nothing else to say.
Really? Because here's what you should have said, Mr. Amador. Here's what you should have said as a professional. I don't think they're right. I think I'm right. So let me drive over there and take a look at it and see what the problem is. Because she sent you pictures and they say that you installed it improperly because what we're looking at is this. We've got this AC and we've got this huge stain underneath the AC. And that stain was what, Ms. Smith? Was it water? Was it refrigerant? What was staining there?
Freon. It was Freon. That's what I was told.
And they said that the way it was installed was causing the Freon to leak out. So what did they end up doing?
They had to pull it all apart. That's why they charged me the $1,000. Pull it all apart. They had to readjust it, and then there was a little hole in the wall. And this was all freshly painted. The apartment was gorgeous.
Right. So now we've got this hole that I see on the bottom left, and I think there's a strip of tape all underneath.
They moved it or something, and it's just a hole, and that whole walls, all the walls had to be repainted again. It was a nightmare. It was a little nightmare here.
Yeah. So you ended up paying them $1,095, and then you ended up paying somebody to come back, patch the hole, and paint. Why was that bill so big? Because when you have a problem, you fix the problem, especially if it's fresh paint. It's not like you're going to have a problem feathering or matching. Why is it a $600 paint job?
Those 2 walls had to be repainted, and then the whole.
Why do 2 walls have to be repainted?
Because the other one had the stains on it too. They both had stains on it.
Did they readjust both mini splits, or did they just readjust one?
They readjusted the back one. That's the one with the hole. That's the one they had to take down.
And then what did they do, if anything, to the first one?
They checked it out. They said the hose was kinked. There was things wrong with it.
All right, let's look at their bill and see what they did. They charged you $1,000.
Yeah.
Need to remove wall unit, fix Freon leak, most likely at the flare joint, and level it and reinstall it so it will drain properly. In the picture, that is refrigerant oil, not water. They charge you $1,000 for that. Probably would have cost you less if you had driven back and fixed it yourself, right? And then another $600 because both walls had to be painted. What did they do to the other one? Why did the other wall have to be painted? And what did they do to the other one?
On it too, Your Honor. They both had Freon on it. So they had it, even when he came to fix it afterwards, there was Freon on that
can I ask you a question? Is your husband in the room?
Yeah, he's here.
Switch with him a second.
Okay, I will.
Can you swear him in, Doug, please?
Your Honor, can you raise your right hand there, sir? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
So help me God.
Your Honor.
Okay, sir, I know what happened with the one AC that they had to take out and reinstall. That was $1,000. Did they do any work on the living room AC?
Yes.
Okay, what work did they do on the living room AC? Because I don't see that on their bill.
They actually came back a third time. We haven't even put that on our claim. It was leaking again and coming out warm again. This is weeks later. And the technician showed me a connector that was installed improperly, the copper line, the Freon line that.
Why didn't you add that to your claim?
This happened after we did our claim.
I know, but you can always amend a claim. When you file a lawsuit, if something else comes up after that, you can amend the claim.
They didn't charge us. They did that.
They didn't charge you, good.
They included it.
All right, I got it. We're done. So here's what we've got. We've got $1,095 that you guys are out because he didn't bother to go back and take a look at it and try to fix it or anything else. And then we have
Your Honor, I went back.
What were you saying? I'm sorry.
I did went back the first time and I fixed the AC.
Mr. Amador, is that what this lawsuit's about? That it was blowing hot and needed more Freon? You know that's not what the lawsuit's about, right? The lawsuit's about the leaking of the Freon. That's where you ended up ignoring them, Mr. Amador, and that's why now you're going to have a hefty bill that you have to pay, whereas it would have been so much cheaper for you to just go ahead and go there. So $1,095, you're going to reimburse them for what they had to pay someone else to retilt the one side, and I'm not going to order $600 on the painting because there is no evidence of the other air conditioner having a problem that he should have to pay for you to paint that wall. There's absolutely nothing about the other air conditioner repairs. So I'm also going to order you to pay $300 of the $600 paint bill, and I'm going to order $1,395. Verdict for the plaintiff, pay the lady.
So the plaintiff is going to get back just about what she was suing for. Mr. Amador, you heard the judge. You're going to have to pay her some serious money, almost $1,400. What do you think?
Yes. Yes, that's what I've heard. $1,000 for a service call, that's no way. But if they want to charge her for something that's wrong and she wants to blame me for it, well, that's the way it is.
Well, you installed it. You did it wrong. You made a mistake. If you'd have gone back and fixed it, you would have saved yourself a lot of money. I'm sorry about that, but that's the judge's verdict. You got to live with it. All right, Ms. Smith, you were suing for $1,695. You're going to get back almost just a little bit, $300 less. What are you thinking?
I'm happy. At least I'm getting something back.
Okay, happy. Congratulations. And I hope the air conditioners keep working for you. All right? You need them there.
Yep. We need them in South Florida.
Absolutely. You surely do. No question about that. All right. Now it's time for another session of After the Verdict.
You know, these split unit air conditioners, which have become so popular now, and you see them more and more in houses, we actually installed one in a house that we used to own years ago, right?
Right.
And I have to tell you, I know a little bit about them. They come from the factory. When you take it out of the box, it's fully charged.
It's tight and right.
Yeah, and it's charged with enough Freon to keep it cool and to run like 10 feet of copper tubing from the upper unit that's up in the wall that you cut a hole through the wall down to the condensing unit that's down on the ground. So there's just no way that these things came out of the box.
You weren't buying that at all?
Not in a million years. It just doesn't work that way.
What about the fact that he didn't even go back to service what she was telling him about? That it's, hey, they're saying you improperly, and he just doesn't even come back.
And she had the photo to show that it apparently was installed improperly, and they had the leak coming out of it. I mean, it just turned into a nightmare.
Yeah, it just blows her off and says, $1,000 service call.
Right, could have been
resolved.
It's
It's not a $1,000 service call. It's a
money.
reinstallation, which would have cost him a lot less to just do than now have to pay a professional to do because he thought she'd go away.
Exactly. And some people have this misimpression that the Freon just kind of goes away and you have to top things off every couple of years and add Freon. No. Once it's in there forever until you get a leak.
Yeah, but we've had to add Freon on stuff.
That's because our stuff leaks. They corrode and they leak. They get pinhole leaks. There's acid in them, and it eventually just starts to destroy the copper tubing or the joints, the compression fittings on them, and it goes.
Why is our stuff so leaky?
I think it happens to everybody, Marilyn.
But this is a lesson for all contractors. You know, you don't show up, and it's going to cost you more because now you got to pay the premium for the other guy.
Absolutely. And the consequences of him not coming out quickly and taking care of it were a catastrophe.
Yeah.
An extra $1,000.
Kind of jerky.
Definitely.
Hey, Harvey, when renting a vehicle, they always try to sell you insurance. Doesn't your own auto insurance cover you? Well, the answer is yes. If you have collision and liability insurance, you should be okay. The only reason to get it is if it eliminates you having to pay a deductible, then there's value. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case are inside the courtroom.